Rabbi, sold out to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. Move forward in this generation triumphantly. And won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever had. Redemption songs, redemption songs. I urge you to vote Joe Ayala in the upcoming mayor race in Simi Valley, and I would be honored if you would vote Cameron Chase Neal for the Galleguas Municipal Water District in November. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thank you, Casey, for allowing us to hear a little bit about your campaign, as well as hearing your song. We really appreciate that. Up next, we're going to go ahead. And so now we know Joe Ayala for mayor and then Casey for Galleguas District 1. Up next, we're going to go ahead and we actually have, we're going to skip around a little bit and we're going to go to Henry Stern. So
that's how it's done.
Senator Henry Stern is a sixth generation Californian and native of District. Okay, sorry guys, sorry about that. So actually we're gonna go back to our original scheduled speaker. So we're actually gonna go ahead and I'll just do a brief introduction on Phil Luce. Phil Luce was born and raised in Moore Park, but his wife Reese and he moved to Simi Valley in 2011 to start a family. They live in Big Sky, and they have two young daughters, ages 5 and 8. Phil has a BA from probably one of the best universities out there, UC Davis. I also went there, and an MBA from Pepperdine, and he works as a healthcare professional. Phil has been very involved in our local community and has served as a Sunday school teacher and volunteered to elementary school, junior high, and college students at his church since 2006. And of course, Phil Luce is running to represent District 1 for Simi Valley City Council. Phil Luce, please take it away. Phil, go ahead and unmute yourself and start all over.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, I was double muted. All right, can you guys hear me now? I'll take that as a yes, I think so. All right, well, Rebecca, thank you for—
Yes, we can hear you, thank you.
Okay, awesome. Rebecca, thank you for the intro. I was just saying, you know, it's nice to see a few friendly faces. I wish I could see more. It's been months and months since I've seen lots of you. And so I hope I get to see you all again really soon. As Rebecca said, my name is Phil Luce. I'm running for Simi Valley City Council in District 1. And it's just my honor to be here today to speak on behalf of my friend Joe, and hopefully we can get him elected because we have a lot of work to do here. So, you know, it's funny, when about a week ago, I thought I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to say today at Joe's kickoff. And I had this little speech planned out where I was going to tout Joe's credentials as a union leader, his progressive bona fides, his character as a dedicated father and husband, you know, all the good stuff. And then Joe kind of threw me a curveball. The other night he called me and was like, hey man, You know, we've known each other a few years now, but I don't know that you really know me that well. So, you know, he wanted to give me the opportunity to ask him some questions and get a chance to know him, which I really appreciated that he did that. So we chatted for about 45 minutes and I got to learn about his background and his family, his career, his campaign, his vision for Simi Valley. And none of that is unusual. So when I say that he threw me a curveball, it's not that the conversation changed my mind about Joe in any way, but the reason for his call kind of made me have a realization of the obvious. That's that everybody on this call today already knows Joe as well as I do, maybe better. And so I don't need to tell you all that Joe's the right guy for the job. You already know that. You know him. You support his vision for the city. You know his character. You know that he's going to stand up for workers and that he's going to encourage hiring local and making sure that we're paying a living wage to those that are working in the city. You know that he's a proven leader. He's shown the ability to unite people with competing priorities and differing values in his role as a labor VP. And you probably already knew that he didn't always have it easy growing up. That made him tough and a man who doesn't back down from challenges. You already know about his multi-ethnic background and how protecting people of color and promoting diversity is not just a theoretical exercise for him, but it's something that is deeply, deeply personal. And so I don't need to convince you all today of this because you're already here. You're already supporting him, doing the right thing and supporting Joe for Simi Valley Mayor. So what can I add today? Just this one final thought, and then I'll be done. You know, it has been a turbulent last few years here in Simi Valley, and just as it has been throughout the rest of the country. I truly believe, though, that all the ugliness that we see in this country, in the city, every racist statement that we see in our city's online forums, every time someone denigrates working class people, every time someone refuses to wear a mask because it infringes on their freedom, whatever it is, I truly believe that these are just the temper tantrums, the last desperate outbursts of an old guard who knows that their time is up. A new day is coming for Simi Valley. I truly believe that. So thank you for supporting Joe and for doing everything that you can to make sure that that new day for our city isn't next year, next election, 10 years from now, but right now, this November, November 3rd. So no more waiting. Let's go get Joe elected. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for supporting Joe Ayala. And of course, we will be supporting Phil's campaign. However, we're able to, some of us are District 1 residents. If you don't know where you live, please reach out to us so that we, if you don't know what district you live in, please reach out to us so we can help you find your district for city council and make sure that if you're in District 1 or District 3, that you are voting for a candidate that believes in a better Simi Valley. And Phil is running for District 1. So thank you, Phil, for always so insightful. We really appreciate that. So now I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next speaker, which is David Polak. David Polak has served on the Moore Park City Council since running a special election in 2009. He is serving as Mayor Pro Tem through November 2022. David owns a consulting firm focusing on business development. He received a bachelor's degree from Pepperdine University and has an MBA from UCLA. His wife, he is married to his wife, Diana, and they have lived in Moore Park since 1989, where they have raised their 2 children. Everyone, please, David.
Hi, can you hear me, Rebecca?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, thank you for the kind introduction. As you mentioned, I'm Mayor Pro Tem here for the city of Moore Park, so that I'm pretty sure I'm not in Joe's district. However, I do have a lot of interest in Simi Valley. I have a major client in Simi Valley. I represent Simi Valley in the Southern California Association of Governments and also in the League of California Cities. So I've been at this for a while. I started in the school board back in 1992, served there for 15 years, and since 2009, I've been on the city council. So I'm always on the lookout for good people to run for public office. A lot of people complain about government, but very few are willing to step up and carry the mantle of government and try and enact a good public policy. I had a long talk with Joe the other day. We have more in common than I even knew. I really like that Joe is a union member, that he has a strong social commitment, and he's committed to Simi Valley. And I think he will make a fantastic candidate for mayor in Simi Valley. And I am certainly happy to support him in any way that I can, and consider me part of his kitchen cabinet. And I will be available to support him in any way that I can. So thank you for inviting me to speak, and good luck, Joe. I think you're going to do extremely well.
Thank you, David. I know you've been supporting a lot of candidates who really want to make Simi Valley a better place, so we do appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Of course. So we are going to go ahead and introduce our next speaker. So we have Susan Santangelo. She was elected to the Camarillo City Council in November of 2018. She is currently serving as vice mayor. She is a registered nurse. She's been a registered nurse since 1993 and is currently the Assistant Director of Health Services in Casa Pacifica Centers for Families and Children. She received her RN from USC Medical Center, and she has been a Camarillo resident since 1976, and she has 2 sons. Susan, please.
Okay, the obligatory, can you hear me check?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. Happy, beautiful weekend. Thank you, Rebecca, for that introduction. I am the vice mayor of the city of Camarillo, and I'm really honored that Joe invited me today to help kick off his campaign for mayor of Simi Valley. You might wonder why someone from Camarillo cares about what happens in Simi Valley. You know, the last 2 years have been a lot of learning for me on my council. And so I have watched what happens in other councils. And there's been a lot going on in Simi Valley. And I've closely followed and been involved somewhat with what's happened in Simi Valley. I have watched as my dear friend, Ruth Luevanos, who was elected to the council, has been a lone voice on that council for people of color, for immigrants, for impoverished families and marginalized communities. And I've seen the way the current mayor and mayor pro tem have treated her simply for being an elected official who is inclusive and who wants tolerance. And it's frankly made me cringe and almost embarrassed for the rest of city council members everywhere. And I truly believe it's time for new leadership, for a new mayor in Simi Valley. I will be perfectly honest with all of you. I don't know Joe very well. But like the others, we had a very lively phone conversation. And I can tell you this, that just by listening to him, his energy, his optimism, his hope, and his dedication to the community of Simi Valley and its residents were immediately evident. Joe is real and he is genuine. You know, he comes from a multiracial family and a non-traditional family. And to me, this background provides him with vast perspectives of the reality of our world today and the challenges that so many of us face. He has a long history of public service, of organizing, and of activism. In fact, his work as a union leader really spoke to me. I helped organize the nurses of St. John's in Oxnard and Camarillo back in the late 90s, which was a really rewarding experience and an exciting experience. And I've learned now that I'm an elected official that the skills of organizing and negotiating and networking and messaging and unifying voices that are unheard alone, but together are very powerful. I've really learned how these skills translate into skills that you need as a public servant. And I know that these skills will serve Joe well as mayor. When we spoke, he told me that his stepfather inspired him to do the work, to walk the walk, and to be the change that you want to see in your community. And I believe this is who Joe is. Recently in Camarillo, we've been dealing with some of the same racial issues that Simi Valley has. We've stirred up some anger and opposition from those who refuse to acknowledge the systemic racism that still exists among us, no matter where you live. I know firsthand the courage it takes to speak out and the passion that it takes to unite people. And this is a pivotal moment in our history as Americans and locally within each of our cities. Joe's platform to concentrate on jobs, on affordable housing and community service programs are integral to any city. And it is these municipal programs that must be addressed to dismantle systemic racism. I believe that Joe can merge these local needs with our national issues. All politics start local. So let's start by throwing our support behind Joe and following his lead. Be the change, walk the walk, show up, speak out, volunteer to help him get elected, donate money to his campaign, and vote. Thanks so much for allowing me to be a part of this event, and looking to see many successes for you, Joe. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Susan, for that. Absolutely, and I just want to touch on something about the last speakers that we have had, that we have really good partners in our community, not just in Simi Valley, but in the county as a whole. We have David in Moore Park, we have Susan in Camarillo, and ultimately for Simi Valley to be better, we do need everyone in Ventura County to help us be able to achieve that. So thank you so much, Susan, for those words. It's really important that we work together as neighbors and for all of Ventura County. We kind of are the gateway to Ventura County when we're coming from LA County. So it is important for Simi Valley to be unified. So thank you for that. And now I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next speakers. I kind of gave a preview earlier. It is our Henry Stern, so Senator Henry Stern. He is a sixth generation Californian and native of the district. Henry Stern was elected to represent the 27th Senate District, which includes parts of Los Angeles and Ventura County. And that happened in November of 2016. He has lectured at UCLA, at UC Berkeley. He enjoys volunteering at his local Boys and Girls Club and is a member of the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy Advisory Committee and the Jewish Committee, as well as the Truman National Security Project. He is an alumni of Harvard University and UC Berkeley. Henry Stern, please.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for the introduction, Rebecca. I have to say, you and Dawn and Zakia, Joe's got quite a corner working for him here. I am so impressed, not just with how polished your rollout is here and the professionalism, but the authenticity. I don't know, that's the buzzword, right? But this is so clearly a real moment in Simi Valley and in Ventura County and in California, and frankly, this whole country. Y'all are at the tip of the spear in some ways, in terms of the just basic call to question around moral decency and whether you think diversity is strength or whether you think it's something to be afraid of. There's a lot of crucial issues that you have to solve as a municipality, and I'm your senator, so I spend a lot of time thinking about up in Sacramento how to help. And I gotta say, it's been hard, whether it's dealing with issues of systemic racism and justice reform, or just the basics of how your pipes and wires work. And I was very touched by Marley Incarnate, refashioned as a water wonk. I thought it was a brilliant idea that came forth from Kareem, and about affordable rates for all in our water systems. I'm the chair of the water committee. Actually, I oversee both the state's water systems and our coasts, and all of our natural resources. And I'm also dealing with issues around fracking and trying to shut down Aliso Canyon and really try to stop being based on extractive economies and only rely on that as our resource as opposed to investing in people. And that's really why I think Joe's going to win this election and he's going to be the next mayor. And I think that's why Mr. Valencia and Mr. Luce, those guys, they're not just, this isn't just politics. And you know, those big moral calls, the question that we're going to be facing in this moment, they are going to challenge us and they're going to say, what are your values and who are you? But then we actually have to do work. And so, you know, I feel good today about being on board with this campaign and your broader movement in Simi Valley, not just because you got to at some point pick a side and you got to say, like, am I for progress or am I going to sort of drag my heels on it? But more than that, competence. We're in a very serious moment. I've been going through my own personal battles with the COVID crisis, and I know it's hit a lot of you personally. We don't have time to mess around too much longer with politics. It's necessary, but it is a distraction from the huge challenges ahead. Look, fire season's coming. You all know this. You live there. You've been through it. I've been through them too. You know, 15 major fires, I think, through my term in office. Lost my own place back in Woolsey. I know you guys have lost too. It's coming again. And the power shutoffs, by the way, that came with them that hit you all so hard, they're coming too. Well, I need partners in Simi Valley City Hall that say, hey, let's figure out how to use our properties to install some clean energy so we can have local solar and storage keeping our power online when the wildfires come. Or let's find a way to make our water system more resilient so it doesn't shut off on us when we do have this new climate reality sort of hit us square in the face. And who's going to help me sort through how to make sure people have access to affordable healthcare regardless of where they're from or regardless of their status? And who's going to help make sure that you guys have the public safety resources to go have firefighters who are going to take care of you every day? I need partners. And so, you know, Joe at the tip of the spear with Ryan and Phil, there's a very powerful ticket. And I'm so proud to stand with all three of you and mostly with the people at the roots here, the Zacchias, the Rebeccas, the Dawns, the ones insisting, you know, just sort of pushing. The tide is going in our direction. You guys are going to pull this off. You have to believe that and see it and know that whatever this era of intransigence is has got to come to an end. So believe that it is happening. Decency will rise and then competence kicks in. So that's why I'm for Joe. Let's get it done.
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator Stern. We appreciate those words. Definitely, we need partners in our community so that we can work together and, you know, get Joe Ayala elected. But beyond that is really just to have good public policy in all aspects of our life, because they do matter when it comes to making sure we have clean water for everyone, making sure you know, that we can face these crisis moments as a strong, united community who, of course, thinks about the safety and the health of everyone. So I do appreciate those words. We're going to go ahead and now introduce Councilwoman, Council Member Ruth Luevanos. I'm so excited to have her on board with the Joe Ayala for Mayor campaign. I'm very excited. She has lived in Simi Valley for almost 2 decades. With her husband, who is an attorney, and their 2 children who both attend public schools here in Simi Valley. She has earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in criminal justice from George Washington University, her master's in instructional leadership from Argosy University, and her Juris Doctor from Loyola Law School. She is a teacher who has worked with various K through 12 schools in Los Angeles Unified School District for the past 20 years, where she has worked with at-risk students, parents, and community members. She was elected to the Simi Valley City Council in November of 2018, and she is the first Latina to serve on the City Council. I am beyond excited to have her on board. Councilmember Luevanos has really brought hope back to a lot of Simi Valley residents. She has stood strong against other members who have tried to shut her down. She has stood with Black Lives Matter. She has defended the rights of immigrants in our community. And I am so proud to have been part of that campaign that got her elected, and so proud to present Councilwoman Luevanos.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you, Rebecca, for that wonderful introduction. I'm very flattered, and I appreciate the support. And I'm here today to show my support for Joe Ayala. You know, I want to start by telling you how everyone has a story about meeting Joe, and there are several Joes in my life, including my father-in-law who passed away. My son is named Joey. So you know, there's lots of Joes I have in my life, but Joe Ayala is someone that when you meet him and you, you know, there's just something special about Joe. He's an unforgettable kind of a guy. And I've actually known Joe's family for a lot more time than I knew Joe. Our daughters danced together and got to dance for a long time. So I've known Rosie for a long time, for years and years. And I've known Cassie and I've known Sam through my daughter's dance studio, Gotta Dance. And, you know, I've seen Rosie at recitals and banquets and all, you know, waiting for the girls to finish dancing. So I knew Rosie very well. And it was one day when I was at Santa Susana High School where my son was attending an open house, and I saw Joe standing there, and I had known Joe when I got elected, and he was very active with ADEMS and Simi Valley Dem Club and VCDCC. And, you know, I had met Joe, and, you know, but I didn't know that I knew Joe, that I knew Joe's family until I saw him standing there. And then I saw Rosie and Sammy and Cassie walk up to Joe, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, can we get a snack?" And I'm like, "This is your family?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Wow." I was like, "Now I really, really know you, because now I know that I know your family." And Rosie is an amazing, amazing mom and wife, and she's just fiercely passionate. And I just couldn't, you know, it just made sense to me. It clicked. This is Joe. Like, this is the whole picture of Joe. Because before I just had, you know, I just knew Joe as his own separate entity, but I never put the whole picture together. And when I found out, you know, who his daughters were and who his wife were, and then, hey, I've actually known your family for a while, it really, really made me happy to know that, because it just made sense to me. And there's a lot of things, a lot of stories that Joe has to tell, a lot of stories that people had to tell about Joe. And I'm so very excited for him to be running for mayor, because he represents all the things that it says. He represents strength, unity, and hope. And I feel like, knowing his family, his wife, his children, that I really, really know Joe on every aspect and every level, not just a political level, but on a personal level. And if there's one thing I know about Joe, is when I see him show up at events, he's usually in a, you know, collared shirt, you know, blazer. He's just finished doing negotiations, but family is always really important to him. He's always thinking about his community. He's always thinking about family. He always has a story to tell. And he represents all these things that you see on this logo. You know, he is strong. He's a strong leader that we need right now. We need strong leadership. We need the strength that Joe has in terms of being willing to stand up for everyone. Joe is someone who stands up for what's right. He walks the walk. He doesn't just say that he's going to do something. He actually does it. And he does it through his work with the unions. He does it in reaching out to all members of the community. And the second part about Joe that's really wonderful is his unity, his ability to unite people. Anyone who's ever been to one of Joe's get-togethers, whether it's a daughter's birthday party or an anniversary or a New Year's Eve party that Joe's had at his house, knows that it feels like home when you get there. You feel welcome. You feel you're going to be fed. Rosie's going to feed you very well. The girls are going to be, there and entertaining, and it's a welcoming place to be at Joe's house or anywhere that you're with Joe or with Joe's family, because that's the kind of person that Joe is. And at any one of Joe's, gatherings, you'll see people from completely opposite ends of political spectrums, completely opposite ends of socioeconomic spectrums. You'll see people that are really, really rich and people that are really, really poor. You'll see people that are working in the fields and people that are CEOs, people that are Republicans, people that are Democrats. And Joe has this ability to unite people of different backgrounds and, just diverse people that come together, and he lifts people up. And that's the thing about Joe. That's what gets me so excited about Joe running for mayor and about supporting Joe running for mayor, because he is a light in the attic. He is that hope that we have been needing for so long. He is a person that, whether you agree or disagree with Joe, by the end of the conversation, you will walk away uplifted, because that's the kind of person that Joe is. Joe will uplift you. He is a hope. He represents a hope. And he connects, like I said, with everyone. He's hope for our youth that are looking for, to come back to this community, to have a hope that they will be accepted and their diverse backgrounds will be accepted and upheld and welcomed here in this community. He's a hope for business owners that are struggling right now through very, very difficult times with a pandemic and an economic, disaster that we're all dealing with. And Joe has been on both ends of that spectrum as a negotiator, as an executive, and as a negotiator, dealing with the everyday Joes, who are working in the field. He will always listen. He will always respect you, and he will always leave you walking away with hope for the future, and inspiring. Joe is an inspiring person. That represents all these things. Like I said, strength, unity, and hope. That's Joe. That's who Joe is. That's what we need for our community right now during these very, very uncertain times. And Joe is someone, because he's a father and because he's a husband, that he's looking to the future of the community, not just to get elected or reelected, but he's really, really concerned about what are we building here for our daughters, for our families, for our future. What kind of community do we want? And how are we going to build it together? And that's what Joe represents. So I'm really, really excited to introduce my good friend, my colleague, my union brother, Joe Ayala. And that's all that I can say. I can just sing Joe's praises till I'm blue in the face. But I'm really, really excited to have someone that understands the struggles of working families like Joe does, and that he will be the strength, unity, and hope that we're all looking for in a mayor. And with that, I'm glad and proud to introduce Joe Ayala.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. So, hi, everyone. My name is Joe Ayala, and I'm running for mayor of Simi Valley. I'm a 4-term elected vice president of the National Association of Broadcast Employees and Technicians, Local 53, representing a large part of the broadcast industry in Los Angeles, and a former television news director. As vice president, my job is not just to be an administrator for the union, but also to negotiate workers' contracts and manage arbitrations and labor disputes while representing the members of my local, which I've done for the last 10 years since moving to Simi Valley in 2010. I grew up in a union family in my hometown of Laredo, Texas, where my family has lived since the early 1800s. My mother was a UFCW member in the 70s, working for a large grocery store chain. Her union went on strike over fair wages and safe working conditions. Management, instead of working for the employees who were on strike, shuttered the store fired hundreds of workers, and moved the operation somewhere else. I remember the day she was laid off because my mom came home crying. She was always proud to be a member of her union, and she was proud to stand in solidarity with her co-workers as they fought for justice in the workplace. She told me that her union did everything it could to save her job. But in a right-to-work state, as Texas is defined, corporations have a very unfair advantage over working people. My mom's dedication to her union and her experience in being laid off because she and her union brothers and sisters were brave enough to stand up for their rights is something that's always inspired me to action, and part of the reason I am who I am today. My stepfather's story is also interesting. The man who raised me is a highly decorated Vietnam veteran. After Sam was honorably discharged from the Army, he worked as a restaurant manager in various local restaurants for a few years, and then became a police officer, where he was faced with the realities of being a beat cop in a border town. He saw the deprivation and desperation of so many people living in struggle from day to day, and he wondered if there was any other way to deal with this harsh reality of violence and addiction, beyond a cycle of incarceration and recidivism. Sam went back to college to get his degree so he could continue to give back to the community as a chemical dependency counselor, a probation counselor, and a veterans treatment program coordinator. He became a champion for alternatives to policing poverty with physical force. His path has also been a major inspiration to me, and I'm proud of all the work that he's done and continued to do up until his retirement last year as an advocate for those less fortunate and lacking in opportunities. Let's see, something else about me. I'm a husband, father, and I've been married to my wonderful wife, Rosie, for almost 25 years. We met in Laredo, Texas, while I was a young director shooting a commercial for a local divorce attorney. Ironically, I was going through a divorce myself at the time, and my future wife, Rosie, was one of the actresses in the commercial. We immediately were attracted to each other, and a mutual friend of ours reached out to me a few days later after we met and told me that Rosie wanted to see me. It was love at first sight. Well, at least for me it was. I think Rosie was like love at third sight. And we ended up getting married within a year. We had very humble beginnings. A justice of the peace, who was also a friend of mine, married us because we were both too poor to afford a large wedding, but our friends and family came together and supported us with a ceremony. We then moved a few times as I was offered better paying jobs as I progressed through my career in the television industry, until I was finally offered a job at Telemundo in Los Angeles in 1999. In 2005, my daughter Cassandra was born, and that really changed me. I already had a son, but like most men, we live vicariously through our boys. My mother always raised me to be a gentleman. We were a Mexican-American family, and it was especially important to her that I treated women with respect and always to represent myself as an honorable man, a provider, a caretaker for my family. She wanted her kids to fully partake in the American dream. My stepdad taught me how to fight, but my mother taught me how to be a man. She told me about the challenges women faced back then, many of the same struggles women today still face. No matter what I do, my daughters will still face an uphill climb as they grow into adulthood. This fact never sat right with me. I worry about my daughter's future, knowing that because of their gender, they will have to struggle so much more in life compared to me or my son, Noel. That's partly why my wife and I chose to raise our daughters here in Simi Valley. We heard Simi Valley had excellent public schools, a family-friendly community that would give our girls their best chance of succeeding in life. When we pulled into town, we admired the rolling hills and open spaces that immediately reminded me of my home in Texas. Living here in Simi Valley over the last decade, my family and I have hiked miles and miles of wonderful trails in our local parks, traversed many of the open spaces surrounding our city. We have been to weekly Gotta Dance Academy classes, banquets, sat through recitals where we made friends with other Gotta Dance families. We've attended countless open houses, back to school nights, parent-teacher conferences, student showcases at our daughter's Simi Valley Unified Schools, Santa Sue and Valley View. We've always enjoyed the various community events Simi Valley has to offer, especially the annual Simi Valley Parade, Simi Valley Days, 4th of July Spectacular. Those are always great. Rosie and I shop at the local farmers market and at the Simi Valley Town Center. We love supporting all the local businesses and restaurants. I mean, we live here. Especially one of our favorite things to do is to go have tacos and karaoke at El Huarache. We have good friends that we've made there. In 2010, I was elected vice president of my union, and I've been reelected 3 times since then. Over the course of my time in office, I've learned that unions are a microcosm of our country and our community. Unions are comprised of individual members of all beliefs, religions, denominations, races, and political leanings, just like our community. The individual members all come to work every day with their own issues, their own strengths and weaknesses, their own worries, fears, hopes, and dreams. My job as vice president is really to unify the union. I had to learn quickly to be able to speak with everyone and find common ground amongst all the members and create a community and a union that works together to achieve common goals that benefit every individual. That's exactly what I plan to do as mayor. As your mayor, I'll represent the community with equality for all. As mayor, I will not let special interests run our city. I'll advocate for desperately needed community service programs that will not only benefit the community by creating jobs, but will also help with crime prevention. I'll create real middle-class housing that can sustain our hardworking families, attract and keep employees for local businesses, allow young people to start their careers in the community where they grew up, while being mindful of our open spaces. That's basically my platform, but I wanted to take a few minutes to go over it some more in some more detail. So the first thing is jobs. I'm committed to fighting to keep and create jobs with living wages and benefits for all residents. As someone who's fought for hardworking people for the last 20 years, I know the power and peace of mind that comes with knowing that you can provide for yourself and your family. As an experienced union negotiator, I know that you can only achieve success for workers when you make sure that businesses can thrive. It's not about winners and losers. It's about a partnership. 2, housing. I'll promote policies that create real middle-class housing that sustains our hardworking families, attracts and keeps employees for local businesses, and allows young people to start their careers in the community where they grew up. We can and must do that, while also being mindful of our open spaces that make Simi Valley such a beautiful place to live. Too many individuals and families are struggling with housing issues. Too many are just one paycheck away from being homeless. Too many businesses find it hard to attract quality workers in such an expensive housing market. There is no reason to accept the status quo when we have the will and the talent to make it better. And 3, community service programs. Lastly, I'll work to revitalize much needed community service programs. These have been given low priority in the best of times and cut back even when their loss causes hardships. Now that individuals, families, businesses, and community institutions are facing unprecedented challenges, it's time to help people who need it most now. Fiscal challenges often require hard choices, but it's ridiculous to always tilt the scale in the same direction. Simi Valley's most vulnerable residents are just as worthy of respect and support as anyone else in our city, especially when supporting and strengthens our entire community. We are at a challenging point in our city's history. We all need to work together to build a brighter, better, more resilient Simi Valley community. In the future, beyond our current challenges, Simi Valley can and should be a place where everyone will have a voice. Everyone will be heard. Everyone will be given housing. Everyone will have equal rights. Everyone will have a living wage, and everyone will be welcomed as they are. As an experienced leader, I know that sometimes you must make decisions that not everyone will be happy with, but you should never make a decision that you're not willing to explain. The lack of transparency from City Hall hurts us all, and it's something that must change. As mayor, I'm committed to raising the standards of accountability to Simi Valley taxpayers, but I can't do this alone. I need your vote, and I need you to volunteer and donate to my campaign to help me win. They say there are 3 key qualities of a union leader, and in this case, a mayor. You need strength in order to lead. You need to be a force for unity, and you need to inspire hope for the future. I believe I have those qualities, and I believe that together we can make Simi Valley stronger, more unified, and restore the hope that so many have lost in these times. My name is Joe Ayala, and I'm running to be your next mayor of Simi Valley. Thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you all again very soon.
Thank you, Joe. Absolutely amazing. Thank you for, you know, allowing us as residents of Simi Valley to have a chance to have a public servant and such as yourself. We're absolutely, I'm so excited just to be able to listen and learn about your campaign. I'm really excited about that. And of course, we know that in order to make sure that you can get on the dais, that people in the city of Simi Valley know that there's better representation possible, that there's, you know, that there is hope for our city, and there are different ways of moving forward in Simi Valley, that we need to make sure that we get out and vote, and we need to make sure that we support candidates and we support campaigns that will bring about that change that we need in Simi Valley. And so what I'll go ahead and do is I'll go ahead and introduce our volunteer coordinator, which is Kimmy, which will talk about, you know, just how to get involved in Joe's campaign and make sure that we can really see success during these elections. And of course, not just about that, but for the future of Simi Valley. So here is Kimmy.
Hello, everyone. Unfortunately, I cannot use the camera today, but I am the volunteer coordinator. So you can get involved by volunteering, of course, and that can be through writing postcards, setting up campaign signs. Anything will help. I will send out those links via email soon, and I appreciate your time, and we hope to have you help us get this campaign running.
Thank you everyone for joining us today, and please reach out to us so that we can get you involved in the campaign. Just like Kimmy said, there's a lot of ways that we can get involved. There are small ways, big ways, and there's a space for everyone on this campaign. It's so important for you to know that this isn't about knowing people or being part of certain groups. This is a Simi Valley for everyone, one that is going to be a campaign that moves forward in strength, unity, and hope. And we want to see you not only part of this campaign, but we want to make sure that you're involved in Simi Valley and making sure that we can make that happen. So please, please join us in supporting this campaign. Joe Ayala for mayor, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you. Okay, now, and